Bendy and the Dark Revival. It's still amazing that they got to do this game. And this game actually is one of the more recent games that I played. It's was released in 2022. At least at the time of this recording, it was really, one of the more recent things I played. It's the second main game in the series. And the closest I could figure, this one takes place a couple decades after. Well, it's kind of hard to pin an exact time with Bendy and the Ink Machine, but this one I would say takes at least a few decades, maybe after Bendy and the Ink Machine, and it focuses on Audrey, or is it Aubrey? That's one of the things I'm going to have a brain fart on. I can't remember if it's Audrey or Aubrey. It's Audrey. Now, she is an animator working at Archgate Productions, who apparently bought up all of. They bought up Joey Drew's stuff after he passed. Now, she actually. She's actually quite an amazing character. You don't know much about her when you start the game, just that she's an animator. And what we find out is that, well, she loves being an animator, but she's working late one night. Now, this is the first thing that tells you there's more to this than before, because this you start off in the real world. Of course, as she's going to, I think, get a drink or get some coffee, she ends up sort of getting caught by Wilson. And she gets pulled into the cycle. I think this is just where we start learning it's called the cycle. Because it opens with basically it opens with you doing find the things to start the ink machine, unless you get pulled into the world of the cycle. So now Audrey must escape. And we sort of find out that Wilson has some sort of power here. Big time power. He claims to have defeated the Ink Demon. We quickly learn that this is not true. But we see a lot more beings in this world. And literally our first three chapters are just getting out of the animation factory and trying to outrun the ink demon. Now, we also gain some abilities during this time as we're fighting these ink beings and all that. And it contains some of the uniqueness of the first game, where literally each chapter seems to focus as completing tasks and maybe more or less dangerous gameplay. And of course, in order for us to progress, we have to earn abilities or find abilities. There's an ability called Banish, where we can actually banish one of these ink beings away. The trick is you have to sneak up on them and grab them from behind to activate it. There is an ability that literally makes us jump over, move over large gaps or something. Focusing on a point, you can actually traverse large gaps. And even later, we gain the ability to travel through some pipes, revisit past areas, which can be very helpful. But as we're working to figure our way out, one, we end up fighting some regular nasties, beings like the butchers, where we're almost taken out by one, and early in the first chapter, and oh, hey, there's Allison. We later learn that's what they call her in this world. The not demented version of Alice Angel. But what happens? Well, we find out the Ink Demon's still around, even though Wilson claims to have defeated him. But we're still trying to make our way out. So now we have to dodge the Ink Demon. And if you thought the Ink Demon was bad before, no, now the damn thing talks. Oh, it is so freaky. So as we work to gather things so we can advance, and there's things to boost our abilities and powers, we're also hiding from the Ink Demon. We're trying to get out of the reach of the Ink Demon. We do not want to get caught by the Ink Demon, especially every time he goes, Audrey. Oh, that's so disturbing. Now, we're going through 3 levels of this where we're trying to get out of the studio. And in fact, there is a way out, but it means traveling through a gigantic pipe-like thing. Of course, we don't reach this until after we finally get to an area where there's an elevator, and we can try and take it up, but oh, hey, Wilson knows there's somebody unauthorized using the elevator, and literally drops you down to the bottom, where these frickin' spider-like creatures. I hated them. Of course, you have to defeat them. Oh, and to add to it, we're going to run across doors and all this mess where we have to use a special, well, we have to have a special version of the gent pipe to open up. Yeah, it's tricky. So you have to definitely upgrade the gent pipe. If you don't upgrade the gent pipe, you're screwed. But of course, some of these fights take a little extra and more complex thinking. But eventually, once you get past that spider thing, you're able to progress out into a city area where there's a large gent factory. Now, I should mention that as you're making your way through the factory, or through the studio, we come across Bendy. And I don't mean the Ink Demon. We mean the cute little Bendy character. He runs away after we hurt it with our new banish power, unintentionally. But he shows up from time to time. And he's even somewhat helpful from time to time, too. But he has a secret. In fact, once we're able to make our way closer to the gent factory in the cycle, we learn the truth. You see, the gent factory has these things that hinder our powers. And it turns out this also hinders the Ink Demon. So when the Ink Demon gets hit with these, it reverts to its non-dangerous form of Bendy. Yeah, that's right. The little Bendy that that's been somewhat of a guide and a help. is actually the ink demon. And the Gen Factory is more or less a jail, home to those enemies of Wilson's enemies as cycle breakers. You see, those who are aware of the cycle know that it has to repeat. Wilson wants control. He wants power. You find things out later. Obviously, the cycle breakers are a threat to that power. And also, Wilson has figured out the ability to leave the cycle. Don't ask me how he did it. We'll somewhat find that out. So we are now going through this prison area, which has these things, sort of reminiscent of the projector character in the first game. Although the way they talk, I think more that they're the Bendy equivalent of the Daleks. You cannot get caught. You can't get caught by these. These things are lethal. But you're going to have to sneak by them. So yay, the stealth section. And eventually you'll find a lone ink character whom becomes a friend. You just have to play hide and seek with her. And she'll open the way to the cycle breakers. And give you a new ability. Now, once you head in there and find her and help her out, once you are able to get in there, you get to meet the cycle breakers. Some of them are very recognizable. Sammy Lawrence is in there, which means he's changed a bit over the games. And you see part of Bertram in there, and you find Henry Stein, a tuned version of him. I forgot to mention, though, you have a run on your way to this area. You actually have a run-in with the memory of Joey Drew. This is where you start to find out something, that Audrey's not normal. She is a creation of the ink machine, where Joey Drew finally got things right and actually created a decent life form. A good life form. Of course, she doesn't believe it at first. However, once we get through with all that, yay us, and of course we meet Henry and all that, we go to get the one thing that will literally restart the cycle. The one thing that the ink demon the one thing that can defeat the ink demon, having it see the end. Well, however, Wilson is also promising a way to stop the ink demon. Needless to say, once we go after the quote the end, we end up knocked out and now a personal guest of Wilson at his abode. So of course we're going to have to see him and hear him out. Unfortunately, while we're getting ready to maybe rest a little bit, Audrey gets kidnapped by the deranged Alice Angel. Great. So she challenges us with a puzzle. Only one guess. If you win, she says she'll let you go. She lies, of course. She gets very pissed if you solve it. I took the time and actually figured it out. I loved the logic puzzle that poses. So once I figured it out, of course, once you figure it out and now have to run from Alice and escape the north wing of Wilson's place, which is where Alice is hiding. I mean, this takes one getting through, facing off against Alice, who's trying to shoot the bejesus out of you. Of course, you have to try and get up behind her to banish her, which doesn't work. You fall down to the floor. She's about ready to kill you, and she gets taken out by Allison. This is also where Allison officially gets her name, and we also see Tom again, and the Boris look-alike, so to speak, with the metal arm. Of course, once Audrey mentions that Wilson has a plan, she says, I at least have to hear him out on this. And we then venture, when we go down to his lab, maybe after running an errand for his maid, I think named Betty. She's actually a sweetheart. I can't be mad at her. We head down to Wilson's lab, where he's actually come up with a color being. I forget what he named that damn creation. So he came up with Ship Ahoy Dudley. Wilson came up with. However, to make it a match for for Bendy, or for the Ink Demon, it would take a soul. And we figure out quickly that the soul Wilson intends to use is Audrey's. So after a little scuffle, Audrey pushes him into the machine and he becomes the sacrifice. We now have to move quickly. And we deal with this creation we came up with, Ship Ahoy Wilson. And it takes basically a fight, a doozy of a fight, where we have to knock out, first off, wipe out the things that would keep all the powers at bay. And then, after certain attacks, we have to literally beat Wilson's head up. Because you could see it. It's sort of, horrible. And of course, just as we've done a good enough damage to it, the Ink Demon shows up and, delivers the final blow. Audrey's sort of in a bad state. In fact, part of her leg, a good chunk of her legs have been wiped out. This would kill a normal human being, of course, but not in this world. No. But she's an ink being. And Bendy sort of absorbs her. The memory of Joey Drew tries to intervene to convince her to keep fighting. But, the Ink Demon does not want that, but Audrey does fight. In fact, we have to race through Audrey controlling the body of the Ink Demon. Of course, the Ink Demon's trying to fight. Move through. Of course, he wants his minions to, quote, kill her. But as we run through the halls, we also get to a point where all the people who were captured, who were quote listed as cycle breakers, are coming to our aid to help get him, for Audrey to get the ink demon to watch the end, to get to the right spot to watch the end. I mean, Allison with Tom running a big hulking thing that you could possibly deal with in the game, but you don't have to. Sammy Lawrence. So apparently he's had some sort of change of heart since the last part of the first game and the second game. And Henry Stein help you all get Bendy to that last part so he can watch the end. And with that, we then rejoin Audrey back in the real world. She demonstrates that she now accepts who she is. I mean, doing something with a finger that's not humanly possible. Because she is a being of ink. And what ends up happening is now that she's in the real world, she's determined to make the cycle a better place for her friends in there. You know, Allison, Tom, the other ink beings that helped gave her powers along the way. However, we also see another being came out of the cycle with her. The cute Bendy, the ink demon. Or Bendy the demon. And that ends this story. This game. It's a beautiful game. I mean, it has also archives that you can unlock and visit. You can also go back and play through things again, maybe work on gaining things, because there are containers of dark or thick ink that you can absorb them and increase your character's abilities. Much like you can upgrade the gent pipe, with this you can upgrade your health, your agility, your power, cooldown. So, it's a good thing. The game also ends with a bit of a tail end of something, as we see that the Gent Corporation now has the ink machine. And there are sources saying that the ink machine was actually stolen from Gent by Joey Drew. I don't know if it was stolen or if he had ordered it made or what. But that's the end of Bendy and the Dark Revival. You know, it's good when a story has an ending that makes you, like, could be a standalone. It fills in the gaps nicely if you're unfamiliar with Bendy and the Ink Machine. But of course, that last ending part seems to hint that there's more to come. And yes, they are working on a third game. I think it's called Bendy the Cage. And believe it or not, they've actually been working on other things for the franchise. But I'm not going to be talking more about. I'll talk more about that in the next one I do, because I'm going to review give you a rundown of the series to date as a whole. And I thank you for listening if you've listened, and hope you've enjoyed it to the end. And give this a like and check out the other ones. And until next time, again, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, a Rich Gen X elsewhere. Bye all.